and standing right up on the toes of her tiny feet. "One word from me to my fans, and this place will be tainted for the rest of its sad little life. Do you know who I am?" "Sadly, I do," Jean-Claude snapped back, pulling himself up to his full height. "You're a has-been ballerina. Now get out of my reception area before I wring your neck. Post your little review. See what happens. Je pourrais être têteur." Briar knew Jean-Claude's threats were often empty, but he was angrier than she had ever seen him. A rational person might have chosen to step away, but Posy Lennox was no rational person, and her mother Renee looked every bit as enraged. The two stood side by side like furious salt and pepper shakers, ready to take the man to task. "Let's all just take a moment to breathe, shall we?" Marianne, the publicist, appeared at the side of her client and her client's mother, her face and voice serene, her eyes warm and understanding. "He called me a has-been," shrieked Posy. However, she did allow Marianne to steer her into the dining room. "I want him sacked." "Oh, lovely," Marianne said, picking up the little paper menu on their usual table. "French onion soup. Just like old times, Pose. Might be as good as Matron's." Briar continued her task of placing water jugs on each table, taking care to look as though she had no interest in their conversation. But Briar's hearing was as refined as her nose, making eavesdropping not only easy, but sometimes completely unavoidable. Martin Heriot, a travel writer for a broadsheet newspaper, sat just behind the three ladies. His piece on Highland hospitality would hopefully not be spoiled by the unexpected extended stay. He made no effort to hide the fact that he was watching and listening to everything they did and said. "When you let me manage you," Renee spoke to her daughter, in a tone of voice Briar imagined she had been using for about 20 years. "We won't elect to stay in places like this. We can opt for more privacy." It was clear that this was a discussion they had had many times before. "I've told you," snarled Posy. "I've told you, Mother, that you're not going to manage me. I can barely stand sharing a room with you, let alone working with you." Briar winced. Martin Heriot whistled quietly. The two old ladies who liked to play cards at dinner kept their eyes glued firmly to the aces and queens in their hands, but their lips were pursed tightly in disdain. "Rude!" Jean-Claude shouted from the reception desk before storming into the kitchens. "Posy, you're being awful," Renee said in a dangerously quiet tone. When Briar's own mother chose a softly angry voice rather than a shouty one, Briar knew it was time to run. Posy typed furiously on her mobile phone, ignoring the weighted disapproval filling the room like mustard gas. "Review posted," she declared loudly, slamming her smartphone down on the table with a triumphant look. "And I'll be speaking to your manager when it's finally possible to check out of this dump." She threw a look of poison towards Briar and Flute. "And there shouldn't be animals in the dining room." Briar looked out of the large bay window. She could see heaps of snow outside refusing to budge and still falling in defiant little flurries. Little did Briar know that this was the last night Posy Lennox would spend at the inn. Briar woke up at the witching hour. It was instantly clear why. Her hearing, better than Flute's at that moment, had picked up arguing and shouting from above. Briar's room was on the ground floor. She knew which guest had their room directly above her. Those small feet were stomping around and Posy's angry words carried all the way downstairs. Statements like, "Rather die than continue working with you," were bandied about before Posy's mother shrieked so loudly, Flute startled awake and almost fell off the edge of Briar's bed.